Okay, welcome to this video where I'm going to walk you through the way you could set up your files for the lab in the box drive. Okay, so this is important to do, especially if you start using the lab computers or the computers in 114, because the local drive space, the part that's not shared with box, that gets wiped out on machines, and so you wouldn't want to have your work where you start a project and aren't quite done with it, and it gets deleted by some automated cleanup process on the lab computers. Okay, so what we're going to do here is you're going to set up Box, and to make that work, there's some chance you'd have to install Box Drive on the computer that you're working on it the first time you do this. But after that, my experience has been that there's a profile that seems to roam around with you, and you can always see your Box folder no matter which lab machine you log on to. Okay, so I've got this set up here on my desktop. I can hit Box, or I can click on this folder here, and it will bring up the file space, and I can move things around. Remember, I'm remotely logged into the office computer, so it's harder to share the whole screen and have you still be able to read it. So that's why I have to scroll around. Okay, you see I have a whole lot of things in Box, all right? But some of the more recent things show up here, so I'm going to click on Labs because I've already got this set up. So under your Box folder structure, you probably have something like Classes. I have it called Teaching because I'm a teacher. And then I have something for the course, and then something for the labs. All right, so that's the folder we're looking at, the labs folder for ELC 2337. I know the course is actually 2137, but it's the lab portion that's associated with 2337. I already have some constraint files in this folder, and so you could copy this folder because later on we need these constraint files. You'll see that as we go through a project. But you won't have this folder there initially. You'd have to actually create the folder and download the files into it. And I suggest you do that. All right, so from there, when you start a new project, you could create its own folder. Start a new lab or lab exercise. You can create its own folder, and you could rename that something descriptive. All right, so maybe we would call this Lab 1. All right, so now you have a place for your lab, and so I'm going to click into that folder, and I'm going to actually create another folder. And we call it Report Lab 1. Okay, so then I can store all my files in this report folder that are related to the project. Okay, so that's the setup that you would need. We'll start walking through the project, but I wanted you to have that background information. The other thing I wanted to show you is that you can go, notice there's this little green dot at the top level directory for labs. All right, so I'm in labs, and there's a bunch of folders underneath it, and they have green dots. Okay, so I'm going to move one level up, and you see this labs folder has a green dot. All right, where that comes from is I'm telling Box to make available locally. The other option is to turn this off, make it available online only. So if I click that, the green dot goes away, okay, and the files need to sync over when you want to use them. Okay, so that can actually slow down the runtime, and you're going to find with Vivado the runtimes can be substantially long. So the tip that I've been given, and it seems to work, is to right-click on the labs folder and then set that to be make available offline, where things will be stored locally, but also duplicated up into the cloud with Box. All right, so that's the tip for getting set up.